Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many
brought to you by Spencer Callahan. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. AC Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos with you for a couple of hours. We're locked and loaded. College football FPI release over at ESPN. You'll be interested to see where LSU falls on this metric that ESPN has created. Glenn West going to join us in 30 minutes to talk LSU Tigers. He's a senior writer over at Go247. Steve Worthy is going to jump on. He's running things over at the Zurich Classic this week. If you're planning on heading out to the Zurich, got a few things to look out for from Steve, and then just some general thoughts on the event this week, as they're a couple of days from getting things underway officially at the Zurich. Excited to get out there on Saturday, watch a little bit of golf. So Steve Worthy is going to join us in the second hour. We'll hear from LSU special teams coach and outside linebackers coach John Jancic as he met with the media earlier this week, and Sharif Ishak in his normal spot at 2:30. We'll talk about the Pels, their season in the rearview mirror, where do they go from here, and it's almost draft time. So we'll talk to Sharif briefly about that as well. We are going to start with LSU baseball today, as the Tigers take on Louisiana Lafayette tonight inside Alec Box Stadium. And this one carries a little bit more significance, I think, than your general Tuesday game. Not because who wins or loses is all that important, but because Javen Coleman is going to make his season debut as the starting pitcher tonight. And I have been very consistent in where I stand with Javen Coleman since January. I had a conversation with someone inside the program in the late fall of 2022, about 6 months ago. And the anticipation at that point was that Javen Coleman would not pitch this year. That was generally the thought inside the program. And then Jay comes out in a press conference in January and says, yeah, if there's a window, we're going to use it. And so everybody kind of perks their eyes up. They're going, oh, really? And so as injuries have happened and as the staff has kind of failed to fully materialize to this point, one of the talking points has been, well, when Coleman comes back and he can do this, or we can get Coleman to do this. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, wait a second. Like, it's just not that easy to come back from Tommy John surgery in 14 months and be an effective pitcher in the Southeastern Conference in the NCAA tournament. Like, that's not easy to do, and expect that is probably a breeding ground for disappointment, quite frankly. That's where I've stood on this the whole time. And then Jay kind of backtracked and he goes, yeah, he's not close. And I kind of was like, yeah, that makes more sense. Like, he's probably not going to be ready. But he warmed up a couple of times over the weekend, and he's going to start today. So he's ready to pitch a little bit. Now, I don't expect much from Javen Coleman tonight, and I don't care if ULL hits 14 home runs off him. That's not of any consequence tonight. I want to see where the velocity is, out of curiosity. I want to see if there's command at all. And the most important thing is, what does he feel like tomorrow? When your elbow gets, I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor, but pitchers get hurt a lot, and they come back from injury a lot, and I hear about it a lot, and I hear a lot of interviews about it. I have a reasonable understanding of kind of what the checklist kind of looks like from the outside. And his elbow's going to be okay. His elbow's going to feel good. It's structurally repaired, and his elbow should feel fine. the rehab process for this is strengthening everything around the elbow, the shoulder, and all these types of things that weren't able to be used while the shoulder was in a sling, right? Like, yeah, you've repaired the elbow and it feels great, but everything else just gets a couple months off, and you've got to get it back up to speed. So, again, I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be one, but he's going to feel fine with his elbow tomorrow. He's not going to wake up with elbow soreness tomorrow. But how does his arm feel? How does his shoulder feel? That's what we're looking for with Javen Coleman. This is a guy who, a couple of years ago, as a freshman, emerged as a pretty important piece to what LSU was doing. LSU's pitching staff that year, especially from a bullpen perspective, was a little bit thin. They asked A.J. Labus and Landon Marceau to shoulder a lot of what was going on until they got to the regional, and Mikhail Hilliard was a big piece to that as well. But Coleman emerged as a bullpen guy. He appeared in 14 games, 12 of them out of the bullpen, and his ERA was north of 5.5. It was 5.79. He gave up a lot of runs for how many innings he pitched. But what we remember and why there's such a positive feeling about Javen Coleman is in the first game of the championship round against Oregon in that regional, he went 6 innings and allowed only 1 run, had 3 walks and 6 strikeouts against Oregon, who was an excellent club that year and a top 16 seed. So that's kind of our lasting memory of Javen Coleman, is going out there against the regional host on the road and going 6 innings of 1-run baseball with 6 strikeouts. He's a talented left-handed pitcher. There's no question about it. And I said, going back a couple of weeks ago, I said, anything you get from him is gravy. And this is what I said yesterday as well. But now my feeling is concrete. Like, okay, we've got 6 weeks until LSU's going to play a game that really matters. I contend LSU's going to be just fine over the last 15 games of the conference season. I contend they're going to win 10 of them or so, and they're going to be a top 8 national seed, and they're going to be fine over the next 6 weeks. Whatever you do in Hoover, I don't really care. You're going to play a game that really matters in regional play, and you've got 6 weeks to get Javen Coleman ready for that. That is enough time. I'm not telling you that I'm certain that he's going to be a dominant bullpen piece because he's got 6 weeks to go. I'm telling you there is time for a reasonable expectation to be that he is a key member of this pitching staff in some capacity. It might be long relief. It might be against left-handed hitters. It might be the 7th inning because there are 2 left-handed hitters coming up. I don't know exactly what capacity it's going to be in because there aren't a lot of defined roles in this LSU pitching staff just yet. But it is reasonable to expect Javen Coleman to help you in June. And that is huge. It is very, very big for a team that has 6 arms down at this point. Big, big deal. So excited to see Javen Coleman tonight. What is my expectation for him tonight? It's to throw 1 inning. I'd be shocked if he threw a 2nd inning. The deal, you get warmed up, you get hot, you go out there and you pitch, then you sit in the dugout and wait, and then go right back out there. That seems ambitious to me. I don't know anything. Haven't asked anybody, don't know what's going on over there. As I've said many times here, like, injuries just don't get talked about much over there. There's a reason there's no update on Chase Shores, and there's very little update on Paxton Kling, and we don't know about Brady Neal. Like, they just don't talk about injuries over there. That's their prerogative. I'm fine with it. We'll just talk about what we can talk about. And I don't believe Javen Coleman's going to go out there and throw a 2nd inning. So tonight, I'd love to see a fastball that ticks into the 90s. That'd be great. I'd love to see reasonable command of the strike zone. That'd be great. And I'd like to see him feel good tomorrow morning when he wakes up. Outside of that, don't really care what the line score says. Just give me a fastball that's got some reasonable velocity. Give me a healthy arm tomorrow morning, and we'll work off of that. Excited to see Javen Coleman pitch in this game tonight. And if you're looking for a little bit of a nugget on this matchup with Javen Coleman and Louisiana Lafayette, this is a ULL team that's going to steal a lot. They are 4th in the country in stolen bases. They steal bases at a ridiculous clip. They have had 3 different games this year where they stole 10 or more bases. 3 times they've stolen 10 or more bases. That is ridiculous. So they're a team that's going to run a lot, and Javen Coleman's left-handed, which should, in theory, help you with that just a little bit. One little note about Louisiana Lafayette. Heath Hood has been basically their best offensive player. He's a senior from White Oak, Texas. And I was looking at his bio, just kind of get some notes on him because he's had such an awesome year this year, stealing bases, hitting for a high average, been really kind of Mr. Do-It-All for them offensively. And Heath Hood has a mom, as you might expect. And I don't know what his mom's maiden name was. Couldn't find that anywhere, but I know what her married name is, and it is, of course, Hood, same as her son Heath. Her first name is Robin. Robin Hood. Not of any consequence whatsoever, but Heath Hood's mom's name is Robin Hood. So that was a nugget I picked up when looking at Louisiana Lafayette. ULL is going to send out a first-time starter tonight. Both teams are going to go through a lot of arms, and we'll see what this game holds for LSU. It's going to be important for Alex Milazzo to throw some guys out because ULL is going to run. But I expect LSU to score in this game, quite frankly, as they have in every midweek game because they haven't lost one just yet. They've been great in midweek games all year. And there'll be a good crowd in there tonight. I think there's a little extra buzz because of the fact that you're going to see Javen Coleman on the mound. So I think it'll be a good atmosphere. I think it'll be a good test for both teams. ULL has had a good year. They're 25-12 overall. They're 10-5 in league play. The Sun Belt could be a 2 or 3 bid league. And ULL is certainly in position to do that. Would this be a nice win for their resume? It absolutely would. For LSU, just another midweek game here on a Tuesday, so you go out there and try to get it done. Most important thing, Javen Coleman. Second most important thing, throw guys out when they steal and hold them tight because that's what ULL wants to do is run. A couple familiar names from those from the Baton Rouge area. C.J. Willis is still a member of this ULL team. He's a guy that was at LSU back 4 years ago, is still playing for Louisiana Lafayette. And Caleb Stelly, a freshman from Parkview here in Baton Rouge, guy that I called a couple of his games over the last couple of years at Parkview. He's a heck of a prospect and a really talented freshman for them. Don't know if he's going to play much tonight, but those in Baton Rouge, I've probably seen Caleb Stelly play a good bit. He's a heck of a player, and I think it's going to be a good one over there for Louisiana Lafayette in his time. So first pitch tonight from LSU and ULL is at 6:30. Pregame show cranks up at 6 o'clock over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Glenn West going to join us to talk about this game, kind of what he sees from LSU and what he expects from Jamin Coleman at 1:30. Sharif Ishak in his normal spot at 2:30 this afternoon. When we come back, a little college football here. ESPN released its latest FPI. I think you'll be curious to see where LSU stands on that list. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. In April, we're telling you about Dr. Robert Jackson. Dr. Robert Jackson's connected to his North Louisiana community, and it has inspired him to dedicate his career to improving healthcare for his most vulnerable neighbors. Dr. Jackson founded the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy in Shreveport, Northwest Louisiana's oldest free clinic and pharmacy. That clinic provides over $16 million in services to over 1,700 patients each and every year. And while the clinic operates at no expense to the patient, it returns an average of $25 to the community for every $1 invested in the center. Truly an awesome, awesome ongoing clinic there in North Louisiana. And Dr. Robert Jackson is certainly a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana that's doing great philanthropic work in our great state, whether it's here in Baton Rouge, whether it's down in South Louisiana or up in North Louisiana where Dr. Robert Jackson calls home, we want to tell the story. Go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate someone or some entity or some nonprofit to be a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back.
Musso, join us for Tuesday's AFR. Matt is back. We're getting you ready for LSU ULL at the box. LSU is back on the practice field. Special teams coach John Jancic meets with the media. Tuesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Glenn West with us in 15 minutes talking Tigers. We get a little college football here before we get to Glenn. ESPN's got a metric called the FPI. I think most that listen to the show are at least aware of it. I'm not certain what every metric goes into it, but it is an objective formula. It takes statistics, it takes returning starters, it takes production from the transfer portal, and puts it all together to bundle in and spit out a number that projects how college football teams stack up. I'll give you, that's kind of my elevator version of it. I'll give you the actual text from this story over on ESPN.com. It says, FPI is our season-long ratings and projections system. In the preseason, it relies on past performance on offense and defense, returning and transfer production, and past recruiting data for players on the roster, and that forms the rating. They use those ratings to simulate the season 20,000 times, and that creates the projection. So, as you might expect, there is a top tier in this FPI that has kind of separated itself from the rest of college football. It's 3 teams. Those 3 teams are number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Alabama, and number 3, Georgia. You've got an Ohio State team that's got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka back. Those guys compiled 2,300 yards in receiving last year. They've also got Cade Stover. So the model projects Ohio State as the number 1 offensive team in college football. It's also got it as second in offensive talent, which is based on recruiting rankings and all that. So the Buckeyes are number 1 in this FPI rating. You've got Georgia and Alabama based on massive amounts of recruiting and returning talent that would be 2 and 3. But what happens after those 3 teams, which the FPI actually says there's a chance that there's a 26% chance that all 3 of those teams make the playoff, meaning like all of them, not 26 each. There's a 26% chance that all 3 of those teams are in the playoff. The top 6 most likely combinations feature all 3 of those teams. But who's 4th? That would be your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Now, the gap between Ohio State and LSU is 9 points. To get the gap 9 points from LSU, you'd have to go all the way down to number 17 to TCU. So there's a sizable gap between Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and then dropping down to LSU. But LSU is 4th in this metric. That makes sense. You have your quarterback back who accounted for a massive amount of your offense because of how much he ran the ball and threw it. You've got Malik Neighbors back off a 1,000-yard season. You've got 2 guys in John Emery and Noah Cain who accounted for a lot of your rushing last year, plus Josh Williams. You've got Mason Taylor back, who was a key piece. Of course, your offensive line is almost all intact from last year. Sans Anthony Bradford have moved on. The defense has been retooled a good bit. There's no doubt about that, but everybody loses somebody. So LSU is thought to be right there at number 4. But it's what's after LSU that surprises me a lot and gives me a little bit of intrigue as to what this is going to look like next season. Texas is number 4 on this list, very close to LSU. And then you round out your top 10 with Michigan, who's been great the last couple of years. USC, bringing back the Heisman winner. Clemson, we know that they've recruited at an elite level and got a lot of really, really good players. Notre Dame at number 9 and Penn State at number 10. Curiously missing from the top 10 is a team that's getting as much buzz really as anybody outside of those top 3 in the Blue Bloods. The team that I think most people think is ready to kind of make a jump here, unfortunately, is Florida State. They went 10-3 last year. They bring Jordan Travis back. You figure that would clearly be a top 10 team. But FPI doesn't see it that way. I'll kind of read you the blurb on them. It says FPI likes Florida State, maybe just not as much as everybody else. The Seminoles rank 14th in the FPI. And the model basically loves the offense. It ranks the offense 10th in the country, but is less confident in their defense, which it ranks 26th in the country. In general, Florida State has lower talent rankings based on the recruiting ranks of the players on their roster than the teams above it in the FPI. The Seminoles rank 17th in offensive talent and 24th in defensive talent. So there's a lot to like here, just not quite as a top 10 is what it says. Now, recruiting rankings are what they are. They're subjective for sure. But what's not subjective is Jordan Travis and what he brings back to this team. So you can tell me that Florida State, because they had signed more 3-stars than Penn State or Notre Dame, is back at 14th. But I watched Jordan Travis in the Superdome last year, and I watched him a little bit as the season wore on, and I know that they won 10 games last year, and I don't think they're the 14th best team in the country. I think they're better than that. So it gives me a little bit of hope that they don't like the defense, that the defensive metrics aren't as good as the offensive metrics, and I'm just trying to find any sense of some confidence here early on before we really dive into August and we get it deeper into Florida State. But it doesn't like Florida State quite as much, and it does like LSU a ton. Tigers right outside that elite level. So let's look at the entirety of the FPI and just kind of in broad strokes see where some of the teams in the SEC end up shaking out. Because we know that Georgia and Alabama are at the top, and we know that LSU is right there, but we don't see any other SEC teams sitting right there in the top 10, which is a little bit surprising, quite frankly. Because you figure the SEC is, obviously the best league in the country. Where are all the SEC teams? Well, they're outside the top 10. Tennessee checks in right there at number 12. Buy what you will of Joe Milton, but I think they're going to be pretty good. And then Ole Miss comes in next at 16. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be, but they bring back Quinshon Judkins, and they've got some talent at wide receiver. We'll see what Chris Marshall brings in, former 5-star that is probably going to be one of their top receivers this year. And then can they play defense? That's always going to be a question as Lane Kiffin is running a million miles an hour. But Ole Miss sitting there at 16. Florida at 18. They are tied with Texas A&M, both at number 18. That surprises me a little bit. I know that A&M, technically doesn't have their starting quarterback back because Wigman took over with the last 3 games of the year. So you wouldn't count him as your starting quarterback. You would count Haynes King as that, and he's, of course, moved on. But he looks pretty good to me, so that skews things a little bit. Their defense is like almost all back outside of corner where they're not supposed to be great. But the defense is, most of it is back, and most of the offensive line is back. Plus, you have Moose Muhammad coming back, who had a ridiculous end of his season. That one-handed catch he made against LSU still makes me very, very sad. And, you know, you've got your number 1 receiver back with Texas A&M with the freshman that had a 5-star year last year who was sensational, and I can't come up with his name, and I'm not that worried about it. I think you probably know who I'm talking about. But Texas A&M sitting there at 18th, I'm surprised because I feel like they have a lot of their production back. And you certainly figure that recruiting class they brought in 2 years ago would skew the talent rankings. I know that they lost Marshall to Ole Miss and got one playing cornerback here in Denver Harris, and so it's not all there still, but there's like 105 stars in that class. You would think that in the course of the recruiting rankings that things would look a little bit better. I know that I obsess too much over Texas A&M. It's a me problem. I'm aware of it, and I guess that's the first step here in accepting that you've got a problem. But I figured that I would think A&M is going to be better than Florida next year, and they've got them tied in this metric. And those are the only SEC teams that you'll find in the top 30. So as we keep kind of chugging on down the list, you got to go kind of a long way before you start ticking off Kentucky and Arkansas and Mississippi State, and you got Auburn and Missouri way down the list. So it doesn't love the SEC. It kind of takes Alabama, Georgia, and LSU right there in the top 4, and then you got to back way up till you get to the middle of the pack in the SEC. And to put this all together and tie a bow to it, I really think when we go to SEC Media Days here, and I guess that's 3 months away, when we go to SEC Media Days in 3 months, LSU's going to get a lot of picks. There's some uncertainty at quarterback with Alabama. There's no uncertainty at quarterback at LSU. In fact, there's great depth there with a really good backup that people seem to really like. There's confidence in the coach. There's continuity on the offensive line. And you know, you look at all these objective figures that ESPN puts together, and it all kind of spits out the same thing. So while Bama is going to be picked to win the division at a greater clip than LSU, LSU's going to get a lot. More than they did last year, more than anybody did in the West last year outside of Alabama, who got the vast majority. I think LSU is going to get a sizable handful when we go to Media Days here in 3 months. So it'll be an exciting time come August to crank things up and start talking football, because this is a season that's going to have some expectation level on it, whereas the last 2 haven't had nearly as much. And I think there's good reason for that. So very much looking forward to that. But please allow me to get through this baseball season before I have to dive too deep into the weeds on football. If you'll offer me that, I would certainly appreciate it. The guy that right when the last out's recorded gives me, all right, football season, I got to decompress. You got to give me a second coming off baseball to dive into football, especially when it's 3 months away at that point. That's a tough thing to try to throw the throttle up to full velocity on football talks when baseball just ends and it's 3 months away. So we shall see, but that's encouraging that the FPI says LSU number 4 in the country behind Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. All right, let's take a timeout. Glenn West of Go247 will join us coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. We invite you to go to the website. We know y'all are. They've gotten some great feedback on the traffic that the website has been seeing, and that's a great, great thing because the website's really helpful. It can give you a ton of pictures of what David Duvall and his team can do on the bathroom side and the closet side. It gives you the testimonials. So testimonials are going to tell you that they're going to show up. They're going to be friendly. They're going to be on time. They're going to give you a blueprint and a plan for how they're going to go about doing whatever project they are doing in your home. They're going to be done on time. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. You'll see that in the testimonials. You'll also be able to request a free consultation over there at One Bath and Closets. The website is very helpful, and I encourage you all to go check that out. If you need a new bathroom, maybe it's a full-scale renovation, maybe just a tub-to-shower conversion. If your closet's just not cutting it, don't have enough room, don't know how to use your space properly, David Duvall and his team are here to help you. If you tell them that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you to One Bath and Closets, they're not going to charge you to rip out your current closet or for the installation labor cost of the new clause. They're just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. That's the deal they'll make to our listeners here at the Hunt Palmer Show. To go to the website, onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Ochsner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Ochsner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
All right. Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364
Jimmy Ott and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time. Game Time from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. It's Game Time Tuesday night, 6 to 8 p.m. right here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along on this Tuesday, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotlines where we find our guy Glenn West, senior writer over at Go247. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. How are you?
Doing quite well. I know y'all heard from LSU special teams coach, outside linebacker coach John Jancic earlier today. I'm going to play some of that sound in hour number 2, but I was curious if anything that he said today kind of caught your attention.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is how they're utilizing Harold Perkins. I thought that was pretty interesting for me. They're really using him as an inside linebacker on first and second down situations, and then they'll shift him over to the outside linebacker into that jack spot on third down. And that's what John Jancic told us today, that he's been working with Harold mainly on third down, and that they're really working with him on those kinds of periods where they can really get after the quarterback on those third down situations. So I'd say that's probably the one thing that really stood out to me. It sounds like they're making really good progress on the special teams unit. They're not really they're not changing a lot of what they do. It's more of how they do it on special teams, which is the way that he described it to us today. But certainly there needs to be a lot more improvement in that area if LSU hopes to have the kind of season it wants in 2023.
Anything you'll have your eye on in the spring game on Saturday?
I mean, I'll keep it boring. I'll probably have my eye on the quarterback and trying to see what how much progress and how comfortable Jaden Daniels is throwing it downfield. I think it's going to be hard to learn a little bit of anything from this spring game just because there've been so many guys banged up. But certainly focusing on the quarterbacks who have been healthy all spring, have been able to work with those weapons all spring. Just seeing if there's any development chemistry that's really grown in the last couple months, I think is going to be really important to see.
All right, let's shift over to baseball. Tigers do get 2 out of 3 against a scrappy Kentucky team that was really tough after LSU got after them a little bit on Thursday. What's been your sense of this LSU team continuing to take 2 of 3 every weekend outside of the rain-shortened South Carolina weekend? Not playing complete enough to get a sweep, but never faltering and losing a series.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's been a really strong start to SEC play when you consider all the adversity that's really crept up on this team in the last couple weeks. I mean, I think this is really the first week in probably at least 2 or 3 weeks where we're not talking about a new injury on the team. And I think that's kind of where this team has been the last, several weeks, is they've been losing guys, having guys in and out, really relying on players that didn't have a huge role on the team early in the season or even in the middle part of the season. You've got guys like Bryce Collins now stepping up to the plate. You've got, Ben DePault back in the lineup with Gavin Dugas banged up. And so it's just going to be, I think, kind of one of those things where, we talked to Jay about it on Monday. They're kind of mixing and matching their pitchers right now. It's just kind of the hand that they've been dealt. But they feel like they have a lot of talent to be able to pull that off and really pitch to situations and not necessarily have a key guy that they're relying on in this particular spot. They feel like they can be a little bit more diverse with their pitching staff, partly out of necessity, but they also think they have the talent to be able to pitch to that kind of line, that kind of outline. And I think that's what's really worked for them this last weekend. What's going to have to work for them moving forward as the SEC schedule here probably lightens up a little bit, but you're still facing some teams that have pretty great resumes over the last several years overall.
So early in the season, Christian Little was kind of the highest leverage reliever LSU had. They were putting him into the biggest spots, and then kind of Garrett Edwards took that job over. Do you feel like Bryce Collins has now moved into that role?
Oh, yeah. No, I think so, and I think that performance on Saturday certainly solidified just how important his role is going to be moving forward. I mean, that curveball is a true 12-6 curveball. I mean, it starts high and finishes right where it's, difficult for hitters to kind of hit, get a hold of. And so when he's pitching well and when he's finding the zone, I think he's as devastating a pitcher that's on this roster that as LSU has. And that's really important to have from a closing perspective. And we'll probably get into this maybe a little bit in a second, but it looks like they're also on the brink of getting Javen Coleman back tonight, which is obviously another huge, huge big deal for this pitching staff that lost a couple guys in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, obviously, that's a guy that has had a nice freshman year and then went out early in his second year, and we haven't seen him since. What do you expect to see from him tonight, and then what do you think his role could evolve to be over the next 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think you need that role to evolve as a key middle inning reliever kind of role, potentially a closer in terms of just going out there and getting you maybe 1 or 2 innings. I think you'd certainly like to hope to get out at least 1 inning out of him today. I'm sure they're going to have a really strict pitch count on him as they kind of work his way into this rotation. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little rustiness. Look, this guy hadn't pitched in over 2 years. And so it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what the pitch count looks like, how much they really throw at him early. I think it's going to be a really ease kind of into this thing for him. And the hope is, look, you still got, I think 3 or 4 weeks left of the regular season. You've got a number of great opportunities to get him on the mound moving forward. If you can slowly ease his way back into this thing and have him pitching the way they think he can by postseason play, that's a game changer for LSU, considering the losses they've had the last couple weeks. He's a guy that, when he's firing, he can throw it up to 95 from the left side, and that's going to be a really, really key arm for them if they're able to get him going.
Glenn West, our guest from Go247, for all your LSU recruiting and team coverage. You can find it there at Go247. So I'm curious what you think about opponents and how they're handling Dylan Cruz moving forward. Kentucky basically waved the white flag for a lot of the weekend. They were issuing intentional walks. We saw the crazy intentional walk with 2 men on and no base open on Saturday, and Tommy White's going to be sitting there, and we all know he leads the country in RBIs. How do you think teams are going to handle Dylan Cruz moving forward?
Yeah, I think you can expect a lot more of the same. I mean, look, Dylan has really exceeded expectations this year in a lot of ways. I mean, the guy's batting 500, and we're 35 games into the regular season here. So if I'm a team, if I'm an opponent looking at that, I'm saying, okay, do I want to, get up the sure thing that he might get a hit, 1 out of every 2 times he's at the plate, or do we kind of push that forward and see if we can't get to Tommy White? But I mean, that's the issue right there. I mean, you got Tommy White back and Dylan Cruz up the whole time. It's just you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place if you're an opposing team. So I think it's going to be very situational with how they do that. Dylan's still going to have his opportunities, I think, to get hits and drive guys in. But I think you're going to see a little bit more of that going forward for sure.
Have y'all talked to Tommy about that, about what he thinks about teams? I mean, I'm sure that didn't happen very often at NC State where teams were walking someone to get to him.
Yeah, we actually haven't had a chance to talk with Tommy about that. We talked to him a little bit after the loss on Friday, and it was still stinging, so we didn't get a whole lot from him after that loss. But that's definitely something that I'll put in the back of my mind next time we get a chance to talk to him, because you're right. I mean, this is a guy in Tommy White who's either leading or at the very top of the list of leading the country in RBIs. So you're really playing with fire there if you intentionally put Cruz on to potentially see him being driven in by Tommy White a batter later. So it's going to be interesting for sure, but it's a good problem to have if you're LSU.
When Brady Neal gets healthy and comes back, assuming that happens, I'm not even sure what the injury was. I was in L.A., and all of a sudden I look up and Brady Neal's apparently unavailable. But if you can shed some light on that, please do. But when he does come back, do you think he shares time with Milazzo? Has Milazzo earned that, or is it Neal's job?
No, I think Milazzo has absolutely earned some playing time. They've been using him a lot. I mean, even when Neal was healthy, they used him at the end of games, and I think that role will not really change for Milazzo. I think, Jay told us this last week, and that it's not a super long-term thing with Brady Neal. He didn't have an update yesterday for us on how long he could be out for. He actually hadn't gone into a whole lot of depth about what the injury actually is. But it sounds like it's not going to be super long-term, and I think LSU feels very comfortable with what they have with Milazzo right now. He came through with some really big at-bats this last weekend against Kentucky. Obviously, we know what he can do defensively, is elite. And, when you have an offense like this is why I always thought Milazzo was going to be a really big part of the team anyway, is that when you have an offense like this that's so potent really from 1 to 9, you can afford to have a guy in there that's just in there to kind of move the bases a little bit, maybe lay down a couple bunts, just be kind of a good at bat in that lineup without necessarily getting on base every time. I think it's just going to be really important for them to utilize him and his defensive abilities here, because they really need that behind the plate. You can tell those pitchers really like having him there.
When y'all ask Jay about injuries, what is the tone? I mean, I know he hates talking about it. I know there's a ton of them. I know that he's not going to answer your questions, but you're laughing. I mean, what is it like when y'all ask him about injuries?
Yeah, so it's changed in the last couple of weeks for sure. I mean, he started out being very open with us about some of the stuff going on with Shores and with Edwards, but as they just kept piling up, I think it was even Mike Scarborough who said, "Hey, you guys thought about bringing in some kind of like doula or something, some kind of injury preventing kind of person to kind of wave off the bad juju of this team right now?" And he says, "Look, I'm open to everything." So, yeah, I mean, look, he doesn't really give a whole lot of answers. There was just a very simple no when we asked him yesterday about Shores and Edwards and Neal. But he'll go into detail about some guys that they feel like they're getting back soon. I mean, he talked a little bit at length about Javen Coleman, and so his mood has definitely changed just because of the sheer number of injuries that have cropped up. But typically, he's been very open with us about guys and just when their potential availability is going to be for them.
All right, Glenn, thanks, man.
All right, guys, thank you.
He is Glenn West, go247 for all your recruiting and team coverage. Appreciate him joining us each and every Tuesday. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Luba, Lewis Mechanical, and Acura of Baton Rouge. You can donate today at 1045ESPN.com, and every $5 you donate gets you entered into our raffle. Raffle items include Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, and picture, Justin Jefferson autographed LSU helmet, and a Justin and Jamar Chase framed wall print. 3 days and 2 nights at the CMA Music Festival in Nashville on Friday, June the 9th, and between Friday, June the 9th and Sunday, June the 11th. And a concert ticket package to go see Thomas Rhett, Shinedown, Zach Bryan, Depeche Mode, Guns N' Roses, and Hardy. So we invite you to go to 1045ESPN.com and donate. It's such a wonderful cause and something that we're so proud to be a part of here with the Dreams Come True Radiothon here at Guarantee Media. We'll take a timeout, come back, and we'll close things out with something I just don't get. That's next.
This is On Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Ochsner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and Joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Ochsner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
All right.
Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers wrap up spring practice with the 2023 National L Club Spring Game. Our coverage starts Saturday at 1 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number one here on this Tuesday. Golden State got beat last night by the Sacramento Kings. That series now 2-0 Kings. First time in the history of this Golden State Warriors group that they are down 2-0 in a playoff series. They'd played 28 times in playoff series. They'd never been down 2-0, and now they are. That wasn't really the story from last night. The story from last night was Draymond Green getting ejected from the game in a two-possession game with half the fourth quarter to play because he stomped on Sabonis' chest, and they went to the monitor and kicked him out of the game. And this is just what he does. He gets in fights. He talks trash. He gets technicals. He gets suspended. He gets kicked out of games. He gets ejected. And he would tell you straight to your face, not an ounce of insincerity in his voice, that that's the way he has to play, and that's why they've won the titles that they've won. Sorry that we were in the finals and had a lead, and I got suspended, and we ended up losing the finals. It helped us to get there the other years. Sorry I get so many technicals every year that I get suspended for games and ejected in playoff games. Just part of it. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand what is so galvanizing about a player acting like an eighth grader. I don't understand how that creates energy within a team. Why him blabbing and talking to the officials and stomping on people and yelling at fans, and why this equates in their mind to more inspired play. Now, I do realize that I'm wired exactly opposite from Draymond Green. I'm non-confrontational. I'm a people pleaser. He's an agitator, and he's aggressive, and he's fueled fiercely, competitively, and we're just two totally different humans. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think he acts like a child. I think getting kicked out of a finals game and suspended for getting technicals in the finals is egregious. And I think last night, when you're playing a team that's playing better than you and you're already down 1-0, to do that and get ejected from the game is just unconscionable. You're hurting your team so bad. And I just don't buy that Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins need him to act like an eighth grader for them to play good basketball. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I will say this. That group buys into it 100%. And when they go to the playoff, they go to the podium last night, down 0-2, and Draymond Green says with a smile on his face that this is going to be really fun because this is a new challenge that we haven't faced, and we've been together for a decade, and we've won these titles, and we've never been down 2-0. So now we've got that opportunity to do something we've never done before. That's going to be fun. You could sit there and say he's just trying to spin it. No, they believe that. I totally buy that they believe that they're primed to beat this team in this series. And they're a championship pedigree. I buy it. I just don't understand it. In my brain, it doesn't compute that he needs to act like that on the court. And again, he doesn't care. He's got all these rings. He, potentially, I guess, could go to the Hall of Fame based on being on these teams and the role he's filled on a true dynasty of an organization. But it looks so dumb to me. That's just the way I feel about it. Tonight, there'll be some playoff basketball on at Pluckers. There'll be some LSU ULL baseball on at Pluckers, and we will be at Pluckers playing some sports trivia. So grab a team. A team can be 2 people. It can be 1 person. It can be 8 people. Grab a team. Come to the Pluckers on Nicholson and play some sports trivia. We'll crank things up at 8:30. LSU and ULL will be winding down at that point. Playoff basketball will be on. I'll have the Cubbies on. They start at 8:40 out in Oakland. And it's a lot of fun out there at Pluckers. So grab a team, come play some sports trivia, and hang out with us on a Tuesday. Can't wait to get out there once again. First hour in the books. Open things up with LSU ULL preview. Javen Coleman on the mound. What can we expect from him? College football's FPI released by ESPN. LSU 4th in the FPI. I gave my thoughts on that. Glenn West always with us on Tuesdays. He is the senior writer over at Go247. Appreciate him. I close things up with some NBA thoughts. We will come back here in the second hour. Steve Worthy running things over at the Zurich. Get you ready for the weekend down in Avondale. The PGA Tour making its annual Louisiana stop. Sharif Ishak with us at the bottom of hour number 2 as well. Come back with us after Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go? Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A declaration today from Bills safety Damar Hamlin that he's ready to resume playing football. Hamlin spoke at a news conference at the team's facility for the first time since going into cardiac arrest during a game January 2nd. He said the event was life-changing but is not the end of his story. His heart is still in the game. Hamlin's gotten full clearance from 3 specialists that he can resume playing without fear or setbacks or complications, explains Buffalo GM Brandon Beane.
They're all in lockstep of what this was, and that he is cleared, resumed full activities just like anyone else who was coming back from an injury or whatever. So he's fully cleared, he's here, and he is of the mindset, he's in a great headspace to come back and make his return.
From ESPN's Tim McManus, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts had minor surgery on his right ankle this offseason. He will be a full participant in Philadelphia's offseason program that begins next week. Today, Browns receiver Amari Cooper revealed he underwent core muscle surgery in February. He said he is in his 8th week of recovery and is on track to be ready for the season.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 here on this Tuesday. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Sharif Ishak will be with us in 30 minutes talking Pels and Saints draft. As I told y'all over the last couple of weeks, this is my favorite stretch of golf in the PGA Tour calendar. You start at Augusta with the Masters, obviously a major championship, but one of the most iconic courses in the world. Last week you had the RBC Heritage over in Hilton Head, a place that I was able to go to a couple of years ago on a guy's golf trip, so I know that course and have played it. Of course, I spent many an afternoon over at TPC, Louisiana, where the Zurich Classic will take place this week. The PGA Tour making its annual stop here in South Louisiana, and Steve Worthy is the Chief Executive Officer and Tournament Director for the Zurich Classic. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearm Hotline. Steve, thanks for the time. I know you're busy. How are you?
Yeah, things are going well. We're excited about the week.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get down there on Saturday and take in some golf. It's always a ton of fun down there at the Zurich. I want to ask, you look at this field, and you got the returning champs in Patrick Cantley and Xander Schauffele back. Colin Morikawa and Max Homa are forming a dynamic team that's got a couple of top 10 players in the world. Hometown guy Sam Burns and Billy Horschel. Got both Ryder Cup captains. You got the Fitzpatrick brothers, Matthew coming off a win last week. What goes into completing a field at a PGA Tour event?
Well, we do all we can to make sure they have the best experience they possibly can when they're on site. Obviously, our format is a big part of it. Being able to do something a little different and partner with someone that they, whether it's a potential Ryder Cup or President's Cup teammate, whether it's just a college teammate or friend. We recruit pretty much throughout the year and try to stay on guys' calendars. I mean, for those hardcore golf fans, there have been some changes to the PGA Tour schedule that have been a challenge. But we're proud. We ended up with 6 of the top 13 in the world, 9 of the top 20, which says a lot about how much the guys like our city, our tournament, and certainly our format. So happy with the field we've got.
I think it's a great field. Like I said, I can't wait to get out there and look at it. You mentioned for those hardcore followers of the PGA Tour, I think you're speaking in terms of the designated events. The PGA Tour has undergone a lot of changes over the last 18 months or so, and designated events versus non-designated events would be one of those. What kind of goes into that, and what challenges does it present to you?
Well, the tour was kind of locked into a schedule this year, so when they designated events, there was no ability to move anyone around. So we got boxed in a little bit. It was not necessarily the outcome we wanted. So there are just a lot of the designated events around us. Yeah. And, like I said, happy that we've been able to get the field that we have. So that part's been good. There's a lot of work going on right now to try to figure out the 24 schedule. In all likelihood, that's not going to be fully determined until probably August. So we're in there, making a pitch, trying to make sure that we can be designated in the future. But even if we're not, because of the differences and the uniqueness of what we do here, we still feel like we're in a great spot going forward. But it's been a complicated time for golf.
I was so fascinated. I was scrolling through this week the field, and I scrolled and wait, oh, John Daly and David Duval are playing as a team. How did that team come to be?
David texted me and said, well, what would you think about this? And, obviously, too, I mean, David Duval was world number one, John Daly, 2 majors, and obviously, as well known as you're going to find. So, we gave them an exemption or happy to get them here. There's probably been, for all the top 10, top 20 players we have, there's probably been as much buzz about Daly and Duval as there has been about any of other teams. So, looking forward to just getting them out on the golf course.
It is one of my favorite sporting events to go to because when you go to an LSU football game or a Saints game or even a Pelicans game, a lot of times it's a huge arena and you're kind of far away. At the Zurich, you can kind of walk right up to the tee box. The pros are right there. It's very accessible. I always very much enjoy the spectator nature of the Zurich and being able to kind of walk around hole to hole and see the different players and the different holes on a course that I play quite a few times throughout the year. Speak to me, just kind of if you were to sell, why would I come down and hang out at the Zurich? What is the spectator experience like?
Well, we think we're trying to offer something for everyone. I mean, certainly if you're a hardcore golf fan, you're going to see many of the best golfers in the world, and that's a big draw. If you've never seen them up close and personal, my office looks down on the chipping area, and when it's full out there and I'm watching these guys in their short games, it blows me away how good they are. So, for the hardcore golfer, that's certainly what you want to come out and see. They drive it unlike anything that most normal humans do. But for those who aren't hardcore golf fans, we've got so many food and liquor venues throughout the golf course to make it fun. I mean, you're going to find all the food and drink you could ever ask for. We have bands on Saturday and Sunday night. We've got the Molly Ringwalds on Sunday night, which they have talked to us a number of times about coming, and we finally got them here this year, and that's gotten a lot of attention. A lot of people have called just to want to come to the golf tournament to see them play on Sunday night. So, and like you said, the ability to get more up close and personal with these guys on the rope line, that's very different relative to most of the other sports. The time between shots, you can interact with the people you're with. When I'm watching an LSU football game, I'm not really talking between plays, but here, between shots, you're able to kind of, whether it's a business associate, you're able to talk about your business, whether it's friends, and you're able to chat, but be that close to the action. I think that makes it appealing for a lot of people.
No question about it. Steve Worthy is the tournament director down there at the Zurich. A couple more minutes with Steve here. I heard Coach Kelly was making some birdies yesterday out in the Pro-Am.
He did. We got to talk to him before we teed off, and he was very excited about it. I met him on 18, and he just birdied 17 and 18 natural birdie for net eagle finish, and he was pretty excited. He played with Ben Taylor. Obviously, we made sure he had some LSU flavor there. And Ben is such a great guy and such a great personality. They had a blast together. Their team had fun. It was a good day, and I think Coach kind of sounded like he wanted to make sure he could be included in the future. So we were certainly happy to have him.
In the format, we know it's a team format, but as far as the alternate shot and best balls go, how does that going to stack up day to day?
Well, in best ball, you're going to see them go a lot. They're going a lot lower in best ball with both guys. One guy can hit it on the green, the other guy can, try to stiff his iron shot and that sort of thing. So, having that's a lot of fun to watch. For most average golf fans and for most U.S. golfers, they've not played a lot of alternate shot. So that's really, unless you've been a Walker Cup or Ryder Cup or President's Cup, you've never really played that kind of format in competition. And I've talked to a lot of guys who, enjoyed playing here before they ever got their first chance to play in a Ryder Cup or President's Cup. So, the format is unique. I think a lot of the guys really enjoy that. Last year, Xander and Patrick in winning a championship shot 59 in best ball on Thursday and 60 in best ball on Saturday. So they shot 25 under in 2 best ball rounds, which was the record by 5. 20 under was the previous low score, and they shot 25 under over the 2 days. So, you get to see a lot of explosive birdies in best ball, and you see a little more defensive golf in the alternate shot.
It is a lot of fun, Steve. I know it's a very, very busy week for you, so we appreciate a little bit of time. Let you get back to it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Hunt.
He is Steve Worthy. He's the tournament director down there at the Zurich. Look, Steve's on the show, and obviously, I'm telling you, it is a great event. It's awesome. I'm a hardcore golf fan. My wife is not. She loves it because temperatures, it's a spring day down in New Orleans. It's pretty out there. You can find great food and great drinks. It's not stuffy like you may imagine a PGA Tour event could be if you've never been to one. There are bars set up every 2 or 3 holes. You're never out of walking distance from the next beverage or the next food. You can get really close to the great players. It is a great event down there at the Zurich. I look forward to it every single year. I'm thrilled I am going to get to go on Saturday of this year. So if you've never been, I would highly recommend go and check it out. You can grab a ticket online, and you can head down to New Orleans, down to the West Bank, down to Avondale, and really see something that only happens down here once a year. So it is really fun, and I appreciate Steve for being good enough with his time to jump on for a few minutes on a very, very busy week. So again, headline in the field, Patrick Cantley and Xander Schauffele, who won it last year, who were a Ryder Cup duo, who were fantastic. Colin Morikawa and Max Homa are 2 of the best ball strikers in the world. They will be there. Sam Burns, LSU guy, Louisiana boy, going to be playing with Billy Horschel. They've had a little bit of success in this tournament, so they're coming back. Both Ryder Cup captains are here. Zach Johnson's going to be playing with Steve Stricker. Luke Donald's going to be playing with Eduardo Molinari. And a really cool story, Matthew Fitzpatrick, the reigning U.S. Open champion who just won last week in Harbortown, is playing with his younger brother who is not a PGA Tour member. They got him an exemption. I heard them on the Golf Channel this morning, and you may not be aware of this, but if you win a PGA Tour event, you get a 2-year exemption to the PGA Tour. You get job security for 2 years, and that does apply to this event. So Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantley win. Well, they've already got their exemption for the next 2 years. They've already won. That doesn't mean anything to them. If Matthew Fitzpatrick, who also has an exemption, and his brother Alex win, then Alex would get a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour. You want to talk about a life-changing situation, and that was brought to their attention. They didn't even know it on the Golf Channel today. So that's a cool dig. He mentioned John Daly and David Duvall will be playing on Thursday and Friday this week. So that's really cool. It's a really, really good field. He was talking about the designated and non-designated events. In an effort to kind of fight off the LIV Tour, the PGA Tour has created these elevated events, is what they're calling them, and they're bigger purses. The top 50 players in the world have to play in all of them. They can skip one. And, of course, the Masters is a major. Then last week at Harbortown was a designated event. So everyone has played the last 2 weeks. Everyone played in the Players 4 weeks ago. So it's a part in the schedule. The Dell Match Play was and that was a designated event at WGC. So the top players in the world have been playing a lot of golf. Jordan Spieth before last week said he had played 7 of 8 weeks, and that was a lot for him. So as far as the place on the calendar goes, the Zurich didn't get the greatest draw, but they have had a great field in relative terms because of the situation that they're up against. So I would highly recommend heading down there to the West Bank and watching some golf this weekend. I can't wait to get down there on Saturday. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, got some sound from LSU special teams coach John Jancic. We'll chat with Sharif Ishak in 15 minutes about the Saints and Pels. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Love telling you about RallyCap. RallyCapBrewing.com is the website. It's handmade for the home team, a brewery right here in Baton Rouge. Such a cool facility. If you've never visited a brewery or a distillery, great opportunity to head over to RallyCap and take a tour. Every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 o'clock, they've got tours. Every Saturday at 1 o'clock, they've got tours. You've got to purchase a ticket in advance, but they'll walk you through the entire process of brewing this delicious beer. And then at the end, you get a guided flight, which is fantastic. Y'all know me as a beer drinker. Y'all know I'm not real wild with all the different varieties of beers I want to drink. That's okay for me at RallyCap too, because I love the First Pitch. I love the In a Pickle. They've got some great light, refreshing beers, which is what I want to drink. If you're into the sours, you're into the stouts, you're into all the different types of beers, RallyCap's got you covered. There are 14 beers on tap over there. They've got even more by the can. I want you to go by, take a tour. Great place to watch a game. They got 8 TVs. It's family friendly. It's pet friendly. It's a great spot right there off of Segan. So go by, grab a tour, grab some beers, check out RallyCap because it is absolutely delicious. You can find the website at rallycapbrewing.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Ochsner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and Joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Ochsner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
All right. Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
Wednesdays, OTB. We got the head man of LSU football, Brian Kelly, joining us. Plus, Matt Flynn returns for some Listerine off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we will hear from LSU special teams coordinator and outside linebackers coach John Jancic here briefly in a moment. He met with the media earlier today, and we've got a little bit of sound there. But there's a little bit of breaking news on the basketball front from LSU. Transfer coming in. We talked about him last week. He has decided to jump in the boat. Carlos Stewart, former Baton Rouge product here, the Dunham School, went out to Santa Clara, where he has played for 2 years. This past season, he was a first-team All-West Coast Conference selection. He is a 6'1", 185-pound guard. He shot 40% from three last year and 83% at the free throw line. He is a good scorer and plenty gifted as an athlete. I think this is a really nice add for Matt McMahon and this program. We went through some of his games from this past season against some of the better teams they played. Against St. Mary's, he shot 50% from the floor and better in 3 of 5 from three-point range and scored 17 points on St. Mary's. At Gonzaga, he was 9 of 15 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3, and scored 22 points in that game. He's a guy that went over 20 points 7 or 8 times this year for Santa Clara. He's a little bit undersized at 6'1", but he's a skilled player. And so if you now start to look at what Matt McMahon has put together with this roster. I said they've got to get significantly more efficient at the guard positions. They've got to score it better. Well, they've done that. Jalen Cook, Carlos Stewart, Jordan Wright are far more efficient offensive players than Adam Miller was last year, than Cam Hayes was last year, than Juice Hill was last year, than Justice Williams was last year. That's just a fact. They're more efficient offensive players. They're more skilled offensive players than those guys. Are you a little undersized? Yes. Do I have concerns about the defense at that size? Yes. You also have another year of development for Tyrell Ward as he comes in. He's a really good athlete, and he shot it pretty well last year. So you add to that shooting ability. And Wani Wilkinson likely coming back, it feels like. And he's a pretty good shooter from the three-point line. While he's not a really complete offensive player, he can make some threes. And then I think Trey Hannibal's going to be back as well. Mike Williams is in your signing class. He's going to be back at the backcourt. So that's 7 guys who are guards and wings that you're more efficient offensively. And we'll see if they're able to add a little bit more. They're obviously looking at Joe Girard from Syracuse. We'll see if that's a guy that they can get as well, because I think they've got 1 or 2 spots to play with. In the front court, you've got Derek Fountain, you've got Jalen Reed, you've got Will Baker, who you added in as a 7-footer who's a very gifted scorer as well. And then you bring Corey Cheston, who's a great athlete at this point. So, look, you're a different-looking team next year for sure. Do I think you're a top half of the SEC team this year? That remains to be seen. I'll need to dive a little bit deeper into it if I'm going to believe that. But you had issues last year creating shots and making shots with your guards. Those concerns are lessened with what you've got, especially if you bring in Joe Girard. You bring in Joe Girard, and I pair him with Jalen Cook, Carlos Stewart, Jordan Wright, Tyrell Ward. That's a team that's going to be potent offensively in the backcourt. They've got concerns on defense, no doubt, but they should be a potent offense in the backcourt. Then you go to the front court where you may need to add at least one more guy. So I don't know if there's room for Joe Girard based on the structure of this team. I don't know how the visit went over the weekend, but I think they need to add another post player. You've got Baker, who's going to be your starting 5. You've got Reed and Fountain, who have played a little bit at this level and have some athleticism and some length and some size. And then you bring in Corey Chess, who's a really good athlete at 6'8". I still think you probably need to add another 6'8", 6'9" body just to protect against foul trouble and give yourself a little bit of depth. But it's starting to come together a little bit, and it's going to be a team that's going to be at least better on offense. I can tell you that to this point. I do want to hear from LSU special teams coordinator John Jancic. This will be number 5, Casey. He was talking about coaching Harold Perkins, and I found this answer specifically interesting, and Glenn West, who we had on in the first hour, agreed that this was probably the most interesting bite that Jancic gave today.
You know, my experience is I've been fortunate that I've been a defensive coordinator, not only in this league, but, several schools. So I'm pretty well versed in coverage. I'm pretty well versed in pass rush and then pretty well versed in the run game. And I think that's that position. That's the outside linebacker position. You have to be fluid in your pass coverage. You've got to be able to rush the passer, and you've got to be able to defend the run game as well. So it's a really exciting position to coach, and it requires a really great skill set for the guys that we recruit at that position.
It says Jancic 5 on this shot sheet, and that was not the exact bite I was talking about. I don't know if we can find the Perkins one, but it was basically the gist of the Harold Perkins bite was, look, on first and second down, he's going to play inside linebacker. On third down, he's going to move, and that's the bite that I think we found now.
He's playing will linebacker for us in most of our first and second down packages. When we go to our third down package, Harold will come over and we'll talk about line stunts. He'll come with us with the D-line and the players that are in our third down packages and work line stunts and pressures and things of that nature. So it's mostly third down when, I get a chance to work with Harold.
That's cool. And that's, I think, the best thing for this team is to utilize his skill set as much as you can. And if you want to put him in the middle of the football field on first and second down and allow him to do some different things, that's great. And then I think on third down, he needs to be on the line of scrimmage. We saw him take over the game against Arkansas. Just take it over. We saw him change the game against Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin said it in his post game. They put 40 out there, and he's just a little different. And that was what he said shifted the game. We saw him spy Bryce Young and do a great job of that in the Alabama game. So he needs to be on the line of scrimmage on third downs, and that's what LSU is going to do. And I think that's really awesome. And I think those are the type of things that are valuable in the spring for Harold Perkins to get these reps and to be able to walk through his plate's bigger than most guys. What he's got to deal with is more than most guys on the roster. He's got to learn the inside for what he's going to do on first and second down and his responsibility there and how he's got to play at that spot on the field. And then he's got to move down to the line of scrimmage and play a totally different position on third downs. And when you don't have to ramp it up for a game or get involved in a game plan or deal with some of the things that go on in the fall, and you've just got a spring where you can take baby steps, I think that is important. We can talk about the merits of spring ball all we want here and who it's important for, who it's not important for, should they even have it, all that kind of stuff. I'm fine if John Emery wants to go work on academics during the spring when he's been here for 4 years. That's fine with me. Harold Perkins is learning a new spot. I'd like him to get the 4 weeks worth of reps. And I think it is important for him. Look, if you're a fourth-year defensive back who's been in this system for 2 years now, you don't need to do all that much. I don't think Major Burns is learning a ton out there playing in spring ball. But Harold Perkins is a guy who is going to have his role adjusted, and this is just a great time to get acclimated to that and to handle it. And I think that was a really, really cool concept. I think it crystallizes kind of what we thought he was going to do, and I think that's best. I think him being at the line of scrimmage on third downs is awesome. And the other thing that John Jancic talked about was who are going to be the punters and kick returners this year, being that he's on special team. Case, if you can dig that bite up. I'll give my thoughts on the big picture before he dives into some names here with kick and punt returners. But I want some playmaking ability back there at kick returner and punt returner. I want somebody who can change the scoreboard. I want somebody that can flip the field. I want somebody that's dynamic. Now, you can't throw ball security completely out the window. I know what happened against Florida State last year. I know what happened against Tennessee last year. I know that dropping the football is game-changing, and you can't have it. But I think there are plenty of guys on this roster that you can put back there at kick returner and punt returner who can be relied on to catch the ball and can make a big play. So John Jancic talked about some of the guys they're looking at kick returner.
We got a variety of guys back there. We're catching a lot of punts, catching kickoffs. We put in some kickoff stuff today. It's an ongoing evaluation, but we feel good with the guys that we have back there. We have Greg and then Kyle Parker's back there, Sage Ryan, Noah Kane. So there's a number of guys that are getting the work and the amount of reps that they need to get so that we have a comfort level as punt returners and kick returners.
When I hear Greg, I'm assuming he's talking about Greg Brooks, Greg Clayton. Oh, I didn't see. I would never even think of that. That would have not. I'm in April, as Jacob Beck astutely points out. He's thinking Greg Clayton. Greg Clayton's name would not even have crossed my mind in April. That's one I've got to get to in August that I had never heard of when he went back there and started running back punts last year. I had washed that from my memory completely. So there's your candid live radio right there. He says Greg. I'm like, well, Greg Brooks, I don't know about that. But yeah, so Greg Clayton, that's a possession guy. That's a guy you're going to send back there per possession. I think Kyle Parker is kind of a possession guy. He's a great route runner and really smooth, but I don't think of him as being one of the most dynamic receivers that LSU has. I would put Aaron Anderson ahead of him there. I would put Malik Neighbors ahead of him there. I would put Chris Hilton ahead of him there in terms of just like straight line speed. But that's one that sounds kind of possession worthy. Noah Kane, that sounds to me like kickoff returns. Is he the fastest guy out there? No, that's what I'm talking about. I'd rather have somebody back there that can turn the jets on and go make a significant play. Sage Ryan, I'm all for that. And if Aaron Anderson is really the answer to all these questions, he's just not out there, then that changes the discussion altogether. But I'm curious to see who LSU puts back there. You've always got 15 guys that you could put back there that you think could make a play. I want the most dynamic and explosive guys LSU's got back there, especially if they're not going to be massive pieces to the offense or defense, which, I don't know what Chris Hilton's role on the offense is at this point. I don't know exactly what Aaron Anderson's role on the offense is at this point, and if it's minimized a little bit, get him the ball some way. And so we'll see what the future holds at kick returner, but I like guys that can make plays. So we'll see just how that goes. We'll take a time out here. When we come back, Sharif Ishak, WDSU, will join us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's time for the NBA playoffs, and you can get in on the action right from the first tip with FanDuel. Right now, all customers, all of them, get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend when you bet the NBA playoffs. That's right. Just place a 3-leg plus same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus on any NBA playoff game, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. There are great promotions every day with FanDuel. The app is safe, it's secure, and the best part, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend of the NBA playoffs. That's FanDuel.com/1045ESPN. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Bonus issues and non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're somebody knows gaming problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Ochsner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown, presented by Ochsner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Charles Hannigrove, join us for the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time. We take a look back at the Tigers and Raging Cajuns from Alec Box. We have Scott Rabelais on the show and first class, second class, no class. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head back down to the Big Easy. Of course, earlier this hour we chatted with Zurich Tournament Director Steve Worthy. Now we'll bring on Sharif Ishak, as we do every Tuesday in this 2:30 segment. Sharif, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm over here just doing a mock draft.
A mock draft for the Saints or the Pelicans?
Saints. I'm over the Pelicans.
Well, no, you're not, because we have to talk about the Pelicans because their season ended since the last time we spoke. What did you make of the performance in a do-or-die game?
Not great. I thought they would come out with a little bit more fire, and I thought they were going to win that game easily. I told you if they would lose that game, I was going to classify the season as. I already thought it was a disappointment. Now it's a major disappointment. But I thought when I woke up that day, I just didn't feel right. I didn't think they were going to win that game. I told everyone at work, I was like, they're going to lose this game, and I lost. I mean, it's the execution late in the game. We've seen it so many times throughout the season. The last 5 minutes of the game, it wasn't pretty. I mean, I understand they have Shea and they have some other playmakers, but there's no excuses to lose a game like that.
Was there anything positive in terms of the development of the franchise this season? Any player that stepped up or anything to build on moving forward?
Sure. Trey Murphy would be the easy answer. He had a fantastic close to this season. The last 20 regular season games, I saw a stat out there, he's averaging 20 points per game, and he's shooting 44% from three, 50% from the 2-point range, and 90% from the free throw line. And his defense was starting to improve a little bit, close to, a block a game and a steal in half a game. So he would be the guy that I absolutely think that is going to continue to grow. I think if fans should be excited about the potential of what they're going to have with him in the starting lineup. And also, Herb Jones really closed the season strong. I was looking at his stats the other day, the final 10 games, and I know his three-point shooting was awful during parts of the season, but if you look at his last 10 games, even last 20 games, his last 10 game splits are awesome. Like 62% from three, 95 from the free throw line, averaging 11 points in all the defense he plays. I mean, he was starting to come on really strong. Those are the two positives. I really think those guys will continue trending in the right direction. They will continue to go into next season.
All right, Sharif, let me stop you there. We're gonna disconnect and call you right back because we got some issues with the phone, but I still want to talk about a couple of things. So we'll disconnect and we'll get Sharif back. Casey, just go ahead and give him a call. Do want to remind you as we're getting Sharif back lined up, I'll be at Pluckers tonight, sports trivia, 8:30 Nicholson location. Be watching LSU ULL. Be watching some NBA playoffs. I'll be watching the Cubbies. It's always a great time on Tuesday nights. 8:30 sports trivia. Grab a team and come on out to the Nicholson location. You can win gift cards, delicious food, delicious drinks. Always a good time on Tuesdays out at sports trivia at Pluckers. Still plenty to get to here with Sharif. I agree with him that Trey Murphy was a nice bright spot to a failure of a season, in my estimation, for this Pelicans team. So I think that was probably it. But you've got to move forward now. And I think the question that's being raised, do you move forward with this exact nucleus and try to add, or there need to be significant changes that need to be made? We'll get Sharif's thoughts on that as he rejoins us. Now, Sharif, it was a disappointing year. To me, it was a failure of a year, but do you just run it back with the same crew plus two guys next year, or do you try to make some more significant moves?
Nah, you've got to make some moves. There's no way you can completely run it back with the same team. Even David Griffin said it Friday. They know they have to make some adjustments. I mean, you can't expect to move forward and have like longer runs into the playoffs or getting to the playoffs consistently. They've got to make some changes. To me, the two areas, they need a shooter, they need a rim protector, an athletic rim protector. JV in the 90s and early 2000s would have been a great player. He would have been all pro, but it isn't. Today's game is completely different when it comes to bigs. I think they need to address that in a very bad way. He gave you a lot of good minutes. He gave you a lot of double-doubles, but it's just, they've got to find someone else there. And another shooter would help tremendously alongside of Trey and what Herb did. I rattled off a bunch of stats whenever we dipped out here like a minute ago, but I think those two guys are ascending. So they need to just continue adding some other players. They don't need any more draft picks. That's just, they have enough young players.
Right. So as far as what Zion said entering the game and then the windmill dunks and all that kind of stuff, where do you stand on the whole situation?
Man, look, it's difficult. I mean, you're entering year 5, and only one season he's played more than 50 games, and there was a year under Stan Van Gundy, which is crazy. You stay and said, hey, the only way he's good is if he's playing, if he's practicing. The best way to practice him is like to get him back on the court, is practice him in 5-on-5 scrimmages. So they've got to figure it out. That's one thing, David Griffin, I just sticks with me, is David Griffin kind of holding Zion accountable on Friday, saying he has to do a better job of being able to get back on the court. And it's the first time David Griffin has essentially put accountability on Zion. And it is on Zion to get back on the court. You have to find a way to get on the court for at least 60 games a season or more. I mean, entering year 5, it's time to get him on the court. I mean, look, man, you could say, I think the fans would much rather keep him than, try to trade him. You can't trade someone who doesn't play.
Yeah, trade value's never been lower with Zion at this point, so that's not really an option in my view. So what's the city's temperature on Zion, the fan base's temperature on Zion right now?
They're frustrated. I mean, and look, they have a right to be frustrated. He hasn't played much. I mean, 114 games in 4 seasons, 29 this year. Didn't play yet last year. They want to see him play. And, I just don't think they're not done with, they're not to the point where we're done with Zion, but the frustration is there, and rightfully so. They want to see the guy they picked number 1 overall, who was supposed to change the face of this franchise and lead them to, Western Conference Finals, maybe the NBA Finals. They want to see him play. I don't blame them. I am not in the camp of trade him now, even if somebody offers you a decent deal. I want to see what he has, because let's say if he has the Joel Embiid type of bounce back like Embiid had after missing pretty much 2 full seasons, it's going to be dangerous. But once again, the ifs. If. He's got to get on the court, man. He's got to find a way to, do a good job this offseason of taking care of himself.
All right, you're mock drafting for the Saints. What are you looking for?
Man, 5 different positions. I mean, they're stuck in a tough spot. The boom or bust position at number 29. I mean, edge, defensive tackle, tight end, running back, receiver. I was just actually legitimately finishing on just now on a mock draft. I mean, you don't know how the board's going to fall, but I'll tell you the first 3 picks that I had: Lucas Van Ness, Darnell Washington, Steve Avila, then Tajay Spears. Those are my first 4 picks that I had in the mock draft that I just did.
We'll talk a little bit more about the draft next week, but I'm curious, if the Saints took a running back at 29, how would you feel about that?
If it's not Bijan Robinson, then I'm not going to like it.
What about Jahmyr Gibbs?
No, I would do him. I would pick him with the 40th pick. I don't know if I would do it with the 29th pick. It's a boy. Look, I understand that's like 11 different. It's a 11 differential spot, but I'm not doing him at 29. I'll do it at 40. I mean, I'm in the camp of look, Mickey and them don't like to sit still. They'll move up before anything.
Yeah, exactly.
They're playing sitting at 20. They'll move up to 20. But I think that's a sweet spot. It's got to be 20 to 24, I think, before they move up. I mean, I think they're probably tired of giving up a lot of assets, knowing this team needs future players, and some of the players are getting old in certain positions. They have to have a little bit more draft pick and flexibility this season. So I don't know. I don't think I would do Jahmyr Gibbs at 29. I like him though. He could be the next Kamara.
What about Hendon Hooker at either one of those spots?
I just don't see them doing the quarterback in the first round. I just don't see them doing a quarterback at all in this draft. I mean, I think Hendon Hooker, the way things are looking, if I'm looking at all these draft boards, they have him going in the top 20 now, which is crazy to think. I mean, I like Hendon Hooker. I think he's awesome, but he's probably going to have to sit at least 1 year behind the quarterback, of the team that's going to draft him.
We shall see. We'll get deeper into the weeds in the draft next week. Appreciate your time, Sharif.
All right, man. Anytime.
He is Sharif Ishak, WDSU down in New Orleans. Join us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Let's take one more timeout. We'll come back, play some Take It or Leave It, and get on down the road on a Tuesday.
This is On Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. we move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd.
At the Oshner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Oshner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Musso, join us for Tuesday's AFR. Matt is back. We're getting you ready for LSU ULL at the box. LSU is back on the practice field. Special teams coach John Jancic meets with the media. Tuesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday. Been a fun show, fun couple of hours, about 5 minutes left. So, Jacob Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, getting started here. Louisville transfer Haley Van Lith is on campus visiting the reigning national champs. Van Lith and the Lady Tigers will go back-to-back. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. I think they are going to get Haley Van Lith. I think they are bringing in the best signing class in the country. I think they already have a massive returning nucleus from a national championship team. and I think they're going to win the whole thing. I don't know what UConn has. Apparently, they're ranked number 1 in the preseason. I don't really care. I think LSU is going to be a freight train next year with Van Lith playing the scoring guard. Michaela Williams comes in as guard as well. You still got Angel Reese down there in the block. You're bringing in a 5-star post that's going to be a tough handle. It's going to be a monster that Kim Mulkey brings into the season next year. So I don't know if they're going to get Van Lith or not. I think they're going to get her. I think they're going to be preseason number 1 eventually, and I think they're going to win the national championship again.
Yeah, if they get her, that just doesn't seem fair, honestly. All right, the Bills announced today that DeMar Hamlin has been cleared to play in 2023. Take it or leave it.
Look, I'll take it. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what happened to DeMar Hamlin on the field. He was a little guarded when someone asked him directly about that. And again, even if they told me what happened, I probably wouldn't even understand it anyway. So that's a little over my head. It just feels dangerous. I don't know. But it's not a neck deal. It was a heart deal. So if the doctors who are, obviously know what they're doing say, hey, he's good to go, he can play football, I hope DeMar Hamlin goes out there and has a great rest of his career, and everybody's going to be pulling for him. Just feels, after what we saw, it just felt like that was never going to happen. So hopefully it's a great ending.
Russell Wilson drove a golf cart into a bunker at Arrowhead Golf Club over the weekend. There is video of it. I suggest you go watch it if you haven't. Reportedly, he was looking for his ball and didn't see the bunker as he came over a hill. Wrecking golf carts. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it, although I'll say this. This happened to my dad. He left a rangefinder at a golf course, and he drove the golf cart, and it was one of the same deals. You go up a hill expecting to come back down the hill, and there's a bunker on the other side of the hill, and he had to throw it sideways and threw the brakes on, slid into the bunker. So he did this at a certain point. So Russell Wilson, not the first, but it still doesn't make it any less funny because nobody got hurt. Russell, come on, let's figure out what we're doing with the golf cart.
Yeah, can you imagine if he gotten hurt, what the Broncos would be thinking if that happened?
Sean P. Gonna put something in his. It's gonna put you have to walk all 18 holes. You can't ride golf carts.
All right, Myles Garrett has retired from Pro Bowl after injuring his toe in last year's event. Scraped the Pro Bowl entirely. Take it or leave it.
Look, I think you probably have to take it. I don't even know what the Pro Bowl was this year. It was like a skills competition or something.
Game,
yeah, I mean, they're not tackling anymore or anything. So you can't really lessen the injury risk from that if it's just a little skills competition. Doesn't sound like Myles Garrett's going to be doing it. It's just a tough sell. I don't think anybody cares about the Pro Bowl. I don't think anybody wants to go to the Pro Bowl. When it was in Hawaii and the players got to go there after the season and take your family, there's a little bit of a draw there, I guess. But it's the Pro Bowl's toast. I know that we try to measure greatness and careers by your Pro Bowls and all that kind of stuff. We got all pros, which is more important anyway. I don't. There's no merit in the Pro Bowl anymore. Nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to take on the risk. It's not competitive. I don't know how you answer it, how you figure out what you're going to do. But football just doesn't lend itself to an all-star game the way that basketball and baseball do, because it's just so physical. So I don't know what the answer is, but Myles Garrett ain't having it. So if he's not having it, I think a lot of players are not going to have it, and they're just going to bail on this whole thing. So I will go ahead and take scrapping the Pro Bowl entirely. I don't think we need it in the least. One more time, I want to remind you about the Dreams Come True Radiothon, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon presented today by Luba, Lewis Mechanical, and Acura of Baton Rouge. You can donate today at 1045ESPN.com, and every donation that's of $5 or more gets you input into our raffle. It's got some great items. The Nola brothers signed a bat ball picture, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase framed wall print, autographed LSU helmet from Justin Jefferson, 3 days and 2 nights at the CMA Music Festival in Nashville in June, concert ticket package, see Thomas Rhett, Shinedown, Zach Bryan, Depeche Mode, Guns N' Roses, and Hardy. I want to send out a very, very heartfelt thank you to all our listeners who have done such an awesome job donating this year. Our sponsors have done a great job, as they always do, but you, the listener, have been so gracious with your dollars this month during the Radiothon. Dreams Come True is such an awesome organization. All the money stays right here in state to go to granting dreams for kids who are fighting these battles in our state, and whether it's sending them to Disneyland or Disney World, whether it's getting a dog for the family, meeting a celebrity of some sort, These are the kind of things that they want, and we're trying to make as many of those dreams come true as we possibly can, and you all have been so great in helping. So go to 1045ESPN.com if you have not donated and have the means to do so. No donation too big or too small. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Tuesday. Open things up with LSU Louisiana Lafayette. Jamin Coleman getting the start. I gave my thoughts on that. College football's FPI been released. LSU 4th. Pretty good. Glenn West of Go247 with us at 1:30. My thoughts on Draymond Green acting like a child at the end of hour number 1. And hour number 2, Steve Worthy, who's the CEO and tournament director down at the Zurich Classic, previewing the Zurich. Had John Jancic sound as well as some news from LSU. Got a basketball commitment from Carlos Stewart. Sharif Ishak with us from WDSU as well. Jimmy Ott coming at you 6 to 8 tonight. Matt's about to drive you home on AFR. See you at Pluckers, and then tomorrow 1 to 3.
There it is,